Hi everyone, Lisa here with another book summary. So this one is Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes, and this book is from 2016, but yesterday on the Ice Cream Social, Jessi and I were talking about this book and the difference between plotters and pantsers, and I 1000% think this book is perfect for pantsers and not at all a fit for plotters because I'm a plotter. However, I still think there is value in it, even though I'm like a hardcore outliner. Just so you know, we also talked yesterday during the Ice Cream Social, we will no longer be doing book club. So we will continue to have Ice Cream Socials, which honestly, they were just meant to be fun and hang out and talk about romance writing and ice cream and chocolate and sugar. Maybe that's just me, and hair and makeup or whatever we felt like talking about. And we thought we'd add book club in, but quite honestly, I think it's like homework for people. Like it causes you so much anxiety. No one wants to show up live. So we have totally obliterated the book club portion, but we will still be having Ice Cream Socials. All right, just like usual, whenever I do these book summaries, if you want the slides, I want to share them with you. So check the link in the description below and you can download all of the slides from today. So here's our agenda really quick. Who is Gwen Hayes? Just like I normally talk about. What is Romancing the Beat? We'll talk about the book and then the chapter breakdown. So just one thing to note is all the beats get their own chapter in the actual book. However, those chapters were short, like maybe some were 100 or 300 words or something, and not knocking it. I mean, that definitely helped to move the book faster so you could read it really quickly. But because there wasn't really a lot of information in each of the beats, and some of them are kind of self-explanatory, I did not give a separate like slide to each beat. Instead, what I did is I gave a separate slide to each phase. So what she did is, and this is math, I hope I don't screw this up. Okay, so there are 5 beats and there are 4 phases. So there are 20 beats total, and each of the phases has 5 beats. I think I said that, 5 beats in it. So we'll just talk about the beats within each of the phases. So there are no chapter numbers in this book, so I can't give you, you can't reference it directly, you know what I mean? But I'll just talk about the phases. Hopefully it'll be obvious. So Gwen Hayes, I believe, and I'm saying I believe this, I'm not really sure because I've actually never read any of her romance books. I only read this one particular nonfiction book, but she writes YA fantasy, contemporary romance, and gay romance. I forgot to put that down here, but she has a beat sheet at the end that goes along with one of her gay romances. So if you write that or you're thinking about that, this is like a perfect example for you. Now, I believe she used to have an editing service, but in December of 2017, she put a note out saying she was shutting it down. And the last book I saw published by her was March of 2017. So I'm not sure if she's still active. However, she did mention in December of 2017 that she was shutting down her editing service, Fresh Eyes, so that she could write her own books, which I totally understand because I am going on a YouTube hiatus for August and September so that I can write my own books. So like if you want to do more writing, like I've always said this, like the single tasking moment, you have to cut other things out. You can't just think you're going to do it all because it just won't happen. All right. Romancing the Beat. So let's talk about this book. So like I said, it was published 3 years ago, or I guess more than 3 years ago. And it talks in the opening letter, she talked about her editing services, which was Fresh Eyes, that was open from 2013 to 2017. So obviously this was, I think, meant for her clients or helping her to get more clients. I think that's a great idea if you guys do editing of any kind. Just put that in the back of your head if it's her author girl boss moment. But she loves Save the Cat, which is Blake Snyder. So obviously when she says Romancing the Beats, we are talking about emotional beats. If you've never read Save the Cat, I personally am not a fan of Save the Cat. Emotional beats like totally go over my head. They just don't make any logical sense to me. So, but Jessi, we were talking about this yesterday, is a pantser and she loves Save the Cat. So, again, I think it's because I'm a plotter. That's my theory is why I'm not a Save the Cat fan. But anyways, so in the book, Gwen does say she purposely omits any and all external plotting advice. Like if you want external plotting advice, it is not in this book. Same thing with storytelling. She's not going to teach you how to do that. And story structure, absolutely no mention of those. So those are 2 things that I hardcore love reading about, and that's how I do my outline. So maybe that's another reason too, this book didn't really speak to me. However, even though I'm saying that, I'm not trying to badmouth it. I actually thought there was a lot of value out of this book, and I think she has really great insight into, you know, the romance part. So, now she does say this book is best for shorter stories and category length romance. So if you're not familiar with that, I do have a video talking all about what is category romance. But typically it's shorter, 20 to 55,000 words, and it's for writers. I think this book is best for writers who like beats and pantsers. 100%. If you're a hardcore outliner like me, you're probably not going to like get that excited about this book. So when I say hardcore outliner, I have a video coming out tomorrow on Monday, July 29th. It might already be out depending on when you're watching this video, but tomorrow's video is how to outline a scene, and just one scene. Like, I'm not talking about the plot. I'm not talking about how to do an outline, just one particular scene in a book. And again, there could be multiple scenes within a chapter. And I do 10 different elements. Like, I define like what time it starts, what the weather is, how much rain or precipitation there. Like, I have everything planned out to the nth degree. So, you know, if you were like me, so, you know, you might be looking for something else, but I still think this is a good read. So if you want to learn more about category romance and whether or not it's for you, I do have a video on that. So I left the link below. All right, let's go into what I normally call chapter breakdowns. But as I said before, I've kind of clumped a lot of chapters together. So before she even gets into the beats, she starts talking about a few things that she wants to make sure you're aware of. First is romance has a theme, which is love conquers all. And there are other themes your book could have, but again, those are related to your external plot. And she doesn't talk about external plot. But she does say this about external plot. It is what sells your book, not the whole romance beat. That is not what sells your book. It's the external plot is what's on your back cover copy, and it's not at all covered in this book. So again, not a bad book, but just remember, if you need to plot your book out, this is not, to me, in my opinion, this is not how you plot the book. It's just how you plot out, or how you think about the emotional arc of the romance. Now, in this emotional arc, there are 4 phases, and she calls it the setup, falling in love, retreating from love, and fighting for love. And the setup, she says, is like the first 25%, but then after that, she actually doesn't give any percentages. And there are 5 beats per phase. So let's jump in. This is, I think, a really nice snapshot of all the beats within each phase if you wanted to just print this out and have this handy. So these are the 5 beats that fit into setup, and these are the 5 beats that fit into falling in love, etc. So let's jump into the first phase, which is the setup. So she says protagonists 1 and 2, very PC because she does write gay romance. So just helping to help you keep in mind that this could fit for any, you know, male, female, anything else, but she does not at all talk about love triangles or like I write reverse harems. That is out of scope for this particular book. Now, what you need to do for your hero and your heroine is show them in their everyday life, but add in some sort of conflict. And it should be a new conflict, not like a recurring thing that's already been going on in their life. Something new comes along. And then you have them meet for the first time, the meet cute. And they then go on to declare 2 things. 1, they don't like love or falling in love, and they for sure are not going to fall in love with this particular person they've just been introduced to. And it could be an internal dialogue, or they could actually say it out loud to somebody in a conversation. And then this right here, I thought this was interesting because this is actually not an emotional thing at all. This is actually a plot device. It's called the adhesion plot thrust, and you need to give them a reason to stay together. I talk about this all the time over here in this video, writing romance, which is the 10 elements that you need in every romance novel. So again, I think about things in elements. I never ever think about things in emotional beats, but you can check that video out. I think it's actually very useful for your plot to help plot out your romance. But back to this. So you actually don't need to do number 2 if you are writing just one POV. Now most romances have dual POV, the hero and the heroine. However, that is not, just like all rules, you can break it. So it doesn't have to be true. The meet cute, I do have a video on that, like creating a memorable meet cute for different ways to make that the best it can be. So phase 2 is falling in love, and this is the fun and game section from Blake Snyder's book, the Save the Cat book, and this is the false high, right? So sometimes in a rom-com, this is what you call the love montage where they're running around and everything is great. But let's go through how Gwen defines it. So the first beat is the no way. So you're going to see the no way actually 3 times. So if we go back here, phase 1, you see no way. So this is when, remember, they're like, I'm not falling in love, and especially not with you. Here, you repeat it again, and we're going to repeat it again in phase 3. So just keep that in mind. You have to rinse and repeat and do this over and over again. Now, at this point, they're having sex. And again, she does say, you know, only if it works with your heat levels. So if you're not having sex, maybe they just share in some emotion, again, fun and games. And it doesn't have to be sex. It could be like a sexual act, like, I don't know, first base, second base, something like that. Deepening the desire. So at this point, they're falling in lust with each other. Or again, if there's no sex in your book, it could be a sweet moment. But either way, that whole phrase, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, this is the point in the romance where they take 2 steps forward. The maybe this time, this is, again, they're either going to have sex for the first time, or if they've had sex before, they're going to do it again. But as I said before, if you don't have sex in your book, it's just an emotional, intimate moment, and it makes them question their inner fears, like maybe love could work. Maybe, you know, everything's okay with this particular person. And then this is the midpoint of the love plot thrust where they're so excited they can't wait to tell somebody, or if they have no somebody to tell, they just have an inner dialogue about how great everything is going. I think this section, just the way it's written, it could be a little tough to follow if you have a low heat level. So, you know, there is another book called How to Write Swoon-Worthy Romance, and it's How to Write Sweet Romance. I think that is a great book, again, that does basically the same thing Gwen Hayes does, but for those who have a heat level of 1 in their book. So just something to keep in mind. And if you're not familiar with heat levels, I do have a video on that, and it talks you through what exactly is a phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is pretty much the industry standard on how those are defined. So now we're ready for phase 3. And again, remember I told you do that rerun of the no way beat. So let's just go back. You saw no way over here in phase 1. You saw no way again in phase 2, and now that we're in phase 3, it's again no way for a 3rd time. So the deepening doubt is they're still having sex, but they are privately thinking that about the no way thing that they repeated again. The retreat, so this could be, again, them just talking to themselves or having a conversation with someone about their love-related fears, about this no way stuff. But they're never ever going to directly talk to their love interest, right? Because obviously that would probably just clear it all up. So the next phase is shields up. So it's kind of a self-fulfilled prophecy, right? They've been thinking about it. They've been focusing on it. And so, you know, if they think all men cheat, then possibly this guy is going to cheat, or maybe they just see him with another woman at a meeting. This happens a lot, I think, in romance movies and shows, and so they just think the person cheated. And at this point, one of the 2 people have to break up with the other one, and this is your black moment. So her advice, which I think is actually very excellent advice, is this black moment should tie in directly with the black moment of your external plot. So she had a good example. If your hero is afraid he can't protect his girlfriend, then the hero has to be the one who sent her into a burning building to die, right? Like the reason she's in the burning building is because maybe they broke up, and so she retreated there, and that's, you know, where she is. So those 2 things would then tie in together. We are finally ready for phase 4. So over here, Dark Night of the Soul, this is, to me, she didn't say this, but this is what I define as where you hit rock bottom, you're at home, you're like drowning yourself in a tub of ice cream, you're sad, and over in your mind, you are doing a memory montage of phase 2, which was, remember, fun and games. So you're doing the love montage in your head about how wonderful things were. And then finally, someone, it could be a mentor or somebody else, so I guess they do need a friend at this point. It can't be an inner dialogue. Someone tells them that they're being an idiot. And so then the morning after, you know, the whole ice cream tub has been eaten. Again, this was just my take on the wake up part. They decide to choose love over fear. And at that point, they have broken up. So they need to do some sort of grand gesture. So this is the point in a romance that, you know, honestly, this is like the money moment. This is like what everyone reads a romance for, because you've done such a great setup at this point that they need to race to the airport before they fly off to a promotion that they don't really want for the rest of their lives and they never see them again, which again isn't too... Like, it's kind of weird because I feel like this race to the airport thing is not a big deal nowadays like it used to be 30 years ago before cell phones and social media. But anyway, so the next one is sacrificing their dream or goal so the other person can have theirs come true. So maybe they were both competing for a promotion at work, and instead one person just goes ahead and resigns so the other person can automatically get that particular promotion. Or overcoming a fear that they had earlier in the book to prove to them that they love them. So this has to be something that was mentioned before. It can't just be a new fear that came out of thin air. And then what wholehearted looks like. So she talks about this a lot, the whole without the W, like there's a hole in your heart. That's how you were before. And now she's saying that you're now wholehearted with a W. So it should be a mirror of the meet cute. Like maybe if they met at a cute little coffee stand, they're back at that same coffee stand, but they're holding hands now and they're in love. And then epilogue. And honestly, I haven't seen epilogues since, I want to say the 80s. But you could still do an epilogue. I mean, people love them. I still like reading epilogues. I just don't see a lot of them. But this is like a sappy recap of, and then next year they were married and they had 5 babies and they had a perfect white picket fence life, right? So this is just kind of summing it all up for your reader. So my thoughts are, this is perfect. So this is perfect. Like I mentioned, she has a beat sheet for her gay romance book called Don't Stop Believing. For anyone, I mean, if you want to write a gay romance with a high heat level, I think this is perfect for you as a model to follow along. I always love when people put like real, actual examples into their books. So here's my final thoughts overall for Romancing the Beat. Again, like I said, this is definitely for pantsers. And if you love Save the Cat, but you just happen to be a romance writer, this is your book. But if you're like me and you're a plotter, you're an outliner, or maybe you're just new to romance writing, I don't think this is for you. So here's why, because I think it lacks the structure and storytelling guidance that you need to put everything together. So I think that's really important. Like that, the only time she mentions it is over here where she says that the Black moment must be tied to your external plot. There's a lot of other pieces that should be tied, in my opinion, to the external plot and aren't mentioned. And I think, like I talk about this in that free course that I have, How to Plot Your Romance, on I think it's day 4, we talk about the double plot. And it's really hard because you do have to do exactly what Gwen says. You have to plot the romance and you have to plot the external plot. There's 2 things going on. Like romance to me is like one of the hardest things to write. So it's not even a subplot. It's a whole other sort of story going on. So I really think that if you're a plotter like me, you need someone to like put those pieces together for you and be like, this is where you need to think about the external plot and here's where the internal goes. That's something I would love to see. But anyways, so newbies, I think it just gets a little confusing because I think you need, just like I said, that cohesion. Like, how does your character's GMC fit in, and your setting, and your world building, and how do I fit a romance trope into there, and some other plot devices? So again, I don't think this is a bad book. Like, my overall recommendation is it's a definite yes, because it's still a great breakdown of the characters' interests and their inner thoughts and actions. But I definitely think it needs to be paired with a traditional plotting, outlining book. So that's my thoughts on this. So overall, I did enjoy reading it. I think I would highly recommend it. And obviously I talked about it today because I think it is worth your time to take a look at it. So as you know, I'm going on a hiatus. So I just want to give you a small little preview of what's coming up this fall. So I have actually already recorded all of these videos because I'm just crazy like that. But I did want to do webinars with these just to talk about this or do live streams so we could really get into all of these subjects. So So we're going to talk about series, and my biggest pet peeve with everyone talking about series Bibles and how to write a series is there's 5 different types of series. So if you don't understand which type of series you're writing, I don't understand how you could write a series Bible. So I think each of those different series needs its own Bible. And I do obviously have a bunch of templates coming out for you this fall, as well as we'll talk about how to plot each of those different types of series, and specifically for romance. The other thing is I have a huge series on author girl boss. So I've been talking about workbooks a lot, and as you know, I am a full-time writer slash creative entrepreneur. And honestly, I don't make 100% of my income from books. It does not happen. So I would love it if it could, but I'm not there yet. So if you're like me and, and plus, honestly, I really enjoy my planner business and graphic design and talking about notebooks and workbooks and helping people with all of that. And so, if you have another interest too, then we can talk about how you can sort of put those two things together. Now, there are 2 different paths when you decide to sort of create a revenue stream. And one is passive income, which is really, that's what I do. I have courses, affiliate income, printables, the Etsy shop. I actually have an eBay shop, not Etsy, Zazzle, all of that stuff. And versus the one-on-one services, which honestly are very, I keep saying honestly, but which are very lucrative. Coaching, you're going to get money immediately. So like if a coach works for an entire day, they could make up to, $2,000 a day versus my courses. If it's a slow day or people just aren't buying that day, I could make $20, right? But if I'm doing a huge launch, I can make $20,000 that day. So, they're 2 different business models. So we'll talk about which one best fits for you. I 100% think one-on-one services is the way to start out when you're first going, because my passive income, I hear people who are like, oh, I put up a sales page and I started making $100,000 every day. I mean, that's possible. And I do hope that happens for you, but most likely it's going to take a little while. So mine took at least a year, I think possibly a year and a half. I'd have to look at my records until I was able to replace my income where I could actually pay my rent and pay all of my bills and go out to dinner and get my nails done, right? It took a while. So this is slower, and this is instantaneous money over here. So we're going to talk about both and how to create a business plan and how to create a website, how to find client, all of those things this fall. New courses that are coming out this fall is Writing Sex for Romance Writers. And, I'm not sure if there's enough interest in that. I will leave information below if you want to sign up for the early bird interest list. But that is something that I would love to teach if you are interested in learning that. And then also plotting from trope. So I think that trope-driven romance is 100% the way to go, especially if you're just starting out. And so we're going to talk about how to plot from a trope. All right. So if you want to stay in touch, because I am very, very soon going on my YouTube hiatus, so I would love to stay connected with you. I will be back in October, so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. And you know me, I might go ahead and post in August and September because clearly I have codependency issues with YouTube. I just love posting to it, but I actually post to Insta stories every day. So I don't know if you guys know, I never do vlogs or a day in the life thing. That to me is painful, but I love posting to Insta stories. So I will post 10 or sometimes 20 Insta stories every day. So make sure to go ahead and follow me over at Lisa London Books. But these are, I don't know if you can hear these.
I guess we could add an M or a J. My middle name is Marie.
So we just kind of talk about random stuff.
I created a monthly word count tracker on one single page so we can all track our words for the month together.
So we do things together too, or sometimes I just post a good morning post with a nice little message over here, just sharing my, what's it called? My altar, because I did the Radical Rituals Abundance. And then sometimes I just show you my house. So I had redecorated and tried to make my living room a little bit more feng shui. So that's what you're seeing over here. All right. If you like these, because I clearly enjoy doing these, let me know in the comments below. And if you have book recommendations, like something you want me to summarize for you, I would be happy to do that. So I hope everyone's having a fabulous Sunday. I know it's a Sunday. Who posts videos on Sunday? Clearly just crazy people like me who are addicted to making videos. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful end to your weekend. And I will see you again on Monday because I have a video coming out. All right. Bye.